You know that feeling when your team is stuck on a hamster wheel, solving the very same problems day after day? It's a massive drain on your most valuable resources, right? Well, today we're going to talk about how to break that cycle with a methodology called Knowledge-Centered Service, or KCS. Seriously, it's a game changer for turning all that individual expertise into a powerful, shared asset for your entire organization.
All right, so here's the game plan. We'll start by digging into the problem, those knowledge gaps that plague so many teams. Then we'll talk about the new mindset KCS requires before we dive into its core engine, what's called the double loop system. We'll see how to keep that knowledge healthy and, super importantly, how to measure the real value it creates. Then we'll wrap it all up with the most important part, the people who make it all work.
First up, organizational knowledge gaps. I love this subtitle, The Problem of Knowledge Amnesia. It's where a company collectively, somehow, forgets what it already knows how to do. It sounds crazy, but it happens all the time.
And this question probably hits pretty close to home for a lot of you. Why do we keep reinventing the wheel? This is that knowledge amnesia in action. And the answer usually boils down to one simple thing. What happens to all that wisdom after a problem is solved? Does it get captured and shared, or does it just walk right out the door every evening with the person who figured it out? This slide just lays out the whole issue perfectly. On the one hand, you have individual experience. It's incredibly valuable, of course, but it's often trapped in a silo. It's like a message in a bottle. When that person is on vacation or, leaves the company, poof, that knowledge is gone. But on the other hand, you have collective knowledge. This is the goal. It becomes a permanent shared asset that lets the whole organization solve a problem once and then benefit from that solution forever. So, if trapping knowledge in silos is the problem, how do we build that collective asset? Well, that's what our second section is all about. It's about adopting a brand new knowledge mindset. And this is a really fundamental shift, moving our focus away from just being busy to actually creating lasting value. This quote from the official KCS Practices Guide just nails it. This is not about installing some new software or adding another checkbox to a form. It is a genuine cultural transformation. It actually changes how people think about their role, their responsibility to their teammates, and the very nature of the work they do every single day. So let's look at the before and after here. On the left, you've got traditional support, that hamster wheel of individual heroics, right? It's all measured by how many tickets you can close. Knowledge is just an afterthought, something you'll get around to later. But the KCS model on the right completely flips this. It's a collaborative network where the team collectively owns the knowledge, and creating that knowledge is just woven right into the fabric of solving the problem itself. Now that we get the mindset, let's pop the hood and see how this thing actually works. This brings us to the engine of KCS, the double loop system. This is the really powerful mechanism that drives continuous improvement and makes the whole thing go.
Okay, so the first loop is the solve loop. Think of this as the day-to-day frontline activity. As a team member runs into an issue, they search the knowledge base. If they find an article, they use it and maybe they improve it a little. If they don't find one, they create one as they're solving the problem. See, it happens right there in the moment, making knowledge capture part of the job, not some extra chore. And then we have the evolve loop. Now this is where the real magic happens, because this is where the organization as a whole starts to learn. The evolve loop analyzes all that knowledge being captured in the solve loop, and it starts looking for patterns and root causes. It's what allows the team to drive systemic improvements, not just fixing one-off issues, but actually improving the products, the services, and the processes for everybody.
A system like this is only as good as the knowledge that's inside it, right? I mean, you don't want it to become a junk drawer. So that leads us to our fourth section, keeping knowledge healthy, and the life of a KCS article. You see, in KCS, knowledge isn't a static document. It's a living, breathing thing. An article starts out as a work in progress, or WIP. Once the basic solution is in there, it graduates to not validated. It's a complete idea, but it's still unproven. The magic really happens with reuse. When another teammate successfully uses that article to solve a problem, it gets promoted to validated, which signals high confidence. And finally, when it gets old and outdated, it's archived, which keeps the knowledge base clean, but still preserves that historical context.
So who manages all this? Well, it's a system of earned trust. People actually grow through different roles. A KCS candidate is just getting started. With some experience, they can become a KCS contributor who can review and refine articles. And the highest level is the KCS publisher, who is trusted enough to share knowledge directly with customers. It's a really clear path for growth that's built on expertise and reliability. And to make sure every single piece of knowledge is reliable, everyone uses what's called a content standard, which is basically a simple checklist. Is this article a duplicate? No. Good. Is it findable using the customer's actual language? Is it clear and usable? This isn't about writing some perfect essay. It's about making the knowledge sufficient to solve the problem, quickly and effectively.
This brings us to a huge point, measuring true value. Because if you change the way people work, you have to change how you measure their performance. KCS completely redefines what a star performer really looks like. This is one of the most important principles in the entire KCS world. Seriously, if you put a goal on an activity, like create 10 articles per week, you know what you're going to get? You're going to get 10 articles, but you have absolutely no guarantee they'll be any good. KCS insists that we focus on outcomes, not just things we can count.
Let's look at an example. So here's Hector. By the old metrics, he's a star, right? He closes a ton of incidents, and he's clearly using the knowledge base because his article's linked rate is high. But he doesn't create many new articles.
Now here's Kim. She also closes a lot of incidents, but whoa, look at her articles created number. It is through the roof. On paper, she looks like an even bigger superstar than Hector. She's not just using knowledge, she's contributing a ton of it.
So I'll ask you, just based purely on these activity charts, who seems to be creating more value for the team? It looks like a pretty obvious answer, doesn't it? But yeah, it's a trick question, and this is exactly why that rule about not putting goals on activities is so critical. The answer is not in the quantity. A qualitative review using that content standard checklist revealed that a lot of Kim's articles were just duplicates or totally incomplete. She was creating noise, not value. Hector, by carefully reusing and improving the knowledge that was already there, was the true star performer. He was making the entire system better for everyone. And that brings us to our final and honestly most important section, the human-powered engine. Because at the end of the day, KCS is not about technology or processes. It's about people. It's about leadership, coaching, and culture. There's such a critical difference here. Strong management is about giving instructions and enforcing rules. Strong leadership is about creating an environment of trust and motivation. Leaders explain the why, and then they empower their teams to own the content and the workflow. This table just shows why culture is the absolute foundation for KCS. The whole methodology thrives in a healthy team. For example, you need to have trust to be willing to share a work-in-progress article that isn't perfect yet. You have to embrace healthy conflict to challenge and improve existing knowledge. And you have to be focused on collective results, like a high-quality, reliable knowledge base, not just your individual stats. So we'll end with this question to take back to your own teams. Is your organization truly learning from its collective experience, turning every single problem solved into a permanent asset? Or is it just repeating them, stuck in that same old cycle of knowledge amnesia? KCS offers a proven path to becoming a true learning organization.